There, viewers, welcome back. 2012 Chevrolet Traverse has the following concerns. We have put in 6 new spark plugs, AC Delco, and we've replaced the coils on cylinder 3 and cylinder 4. We added a bottle of the Lucas, not a sponsor, fuel injector cleaner. We topped up with known good gas because this had a problem with a half a tank of fuel and it had a problem with a full tank of fuel, and it still runs poorly. So the money light is apparently on, and it's definitely got a miss, so I can kind of feel the going on. So automatic light control on, and check engine light is flashing, so that kind of steers us into a good position on where to look. Cylinder misfire. Let's make it happen, folks. Yeah, this is definitely not happy, but that's fine. Not worried about it. We will make it all better. Feels like it's only missing on one, probably only on one cylinder, so probably doesn't mean, I don't think there's anything mechanically wrong with the motor, just the way it sounds, not clicking or clacking, anything like that. So now that we're in the bay, ready to go. Okay, so we're in here. We're going into the trouble codes, and we're reading. Let's just see what exactly we have in here. It's usually the first step that I'm going to take with this sort of an issue. And the check engine light's on, we might as well read and see exactly what the issue, if many, actually is. So we're going to go current and history. It says engine misfire detected. That's a P0300. That's freaking helpful. And then we also have for number 2, we'll see if we can't get the looks like we have an injector, or rather a circuit failure code, or a circuit type code for ignition coil 4. Say that 5 times fast. So I say we go right to cylinder 4. Let's do it. We need to have air, we need to have fuel, and we need to have spark. So considering we have new parts installed on cylinder 4, let's go ahead, and I can feel the misfire, so I'm not going to bother clearing the codes out of it. Let's just go ahead and check and make sure cylinder 4 is actually getting everything it needs. Okay, so service info. Hopefully you can see that. Here's the front of the vehicle. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're lucky. Number 4 appears to be right there, smack in the middle out of the 6. This is a GM36. It looks like it's missing the cover up here at the front, but hey, why not? Here we go. Just gonna get a great big old extension. Take that guy loose. And what we're gonna do is we're going to just check and see if this babe is even attempting to fire this coil, because we can do some swaptronics, and we can take number 1's coil that we know is good. Wow, that's a long bolt. We can take number 1's coil and put it in number 4's hole. If it still don't fire, we know we got a wiring problem, or well, the computer's lost its mind. Hopefully not. Almost dropped that bolt. You can see that's a fairly long sucker. We'll pull the coil up. Okay, wiggle it out of the hole. Pull the connector out of it too, I suppose. These don't have safety locks on them. Hopefully I realize you really can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so we played with this long enough. I got it plugged back in. I'm just going to let it sit gently above the spark plug. And I'm going to go ahead and start the engine and see if we hear the zapping sound. Should make a clicking sound. Well, that's not good. Make sure that's pressed down. That's an interesting sound. That does not sound good. She's firing. I noticed it had a skip when I was cranking on it. That is really not good. And it is firing the spark plug. All right, so where we're at now, I just got another discovery on this, and this is kind of your good old tech tip ears here. When I crank this, you hear the sound, and that is not good. So actually, the next thing I'm going to do on this motor, I wonder if that trouble code's left over from when they changed the coils out. Maybe the ignition was left on. I'm going to compression test this engine, because that acceleration during cranking actually tells me that one cylinder doesn't have compression, or multiple cylinders don't. So this could actually be something mechanically wrong with the engine. So we're going to go ahead and get a compression test. I don't want to get the scope out or anything to do a relative compression test. That's a little bit above what I'm looking for. We're going to get the old PSI gauge out, because we got cylinders that we can access right here in the front of the motor, and we'll just see what exactly happens. So let's go ahead, skip the electrics for now. I really thought this was going to be an electric video. Let's get into the mechanics of the motor. Compression test. Here we go. There's really nothing to stick a work light to on this vehicle, unfortunately. No. Not. Okay. Fine. Really won't use that. All I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug this coil. The key is off, by the way. And I'm only going to show you doing one of these cylinders. So there's our coil. Looks brand new, as customer stated. And I think, just get me a man's spark plug socket. Look down in the hole, see if there's any trash. She's spotless. That's good. So I'm not going to blow out the hole. Get rid of that. How tight have they put the spark plugs in? Let's find out. Let me get another extension. It's not quite long enough. Through the magic of editing. Lefty loosey. Oh, yeah, good. Just tightened up pretty nice. Let's see if it's covered in oil or something. Oh, I don't know. I see. Better get a magnet. I could maybe get down in there, and these back ones are gonna be quite the pill. It's either covered in gas or covered in oil, but that's not firing. There's no way making it the mileage that it did, that sucker's firing. That is pretty spotless. Pardon my shakes, how it goes. It looks like it's fired a couple of times, but not anything to write home about. So we'll keep that in mind. I'm gonna go ahead and thread the tester down in there. So here's what we're looking at, and should be able to. We're gonna thread this gauge on. Everything's O-ring sealed. We're gonna mash the gas pedal all the way down into the carpet, which should be a clear flood signal, so the computer doesn't inject any fuel. And we're going to let it hiccup the same number of times. So I'm going to go like 4 times. We're going to do that like 4 times. Got a battery charger on it, and we'll just go down the motor. We'll write our info down on this sheet, and we'll see if we have something mechanically wrong with this motor. Contact. So there's 2 things that could be happening here. I get 0 on hole 4. Either there's something wrong with my gauge, which is actually brand new from Napa, not a sponsor, or there's something mechanically wrong in that cylinder and we got lucky. So we're going to go move to hole number 2, because hole number 2 is fairly easy to get to and doesn't have any codes or anything weird going on with it. So anyway, we're gonna go over to number 2, and that's gonna confirm whether our gauge works. And if that's still no good, we'll go over to hole number 6. I'm gonna put the plug back into hole number 4. Okay, so this plug's firing and it's not wet. So it's kind of a red flag there that cylinder is working, which is a good thing. That tells us that this is a known good cylinder. So we'll thread our gauge in. Not too tight, maybe turn it so that camera can see it a little bit. It's gonna have to work. And we'll do the exact same thing. Foot to the floor. All right, we got 125 PSI. We will duly write that down on our little sheet. Not good. Well, I should say the 125 is good. We're not necessarily looking for a certain compression, we're looking for it to be consistent. But the fact that number 4 has 0 is not good. And the gauge holds. So we'll push the center little portion here of the little tire valve. Bleeds her down to 0. Put that cylinder back the way it is. It looks like our other one's underneath the manifold halfway. That's going to be kind of a pill, but it doesn't look like you got to pull the manifold to get to the back ones. So we'll put that cylinder back the way it was. So on hole number 6, you had to take the PCV, or not the PCV, sorry. This is the breather for it. The evap line, it's got this green quick connect. You just squeeze it really hard and it slides off. You had to take the purge solenoid off. It's held on by one 10mm bolt, and that's how you get down there to get this particular plug out. It's going to be a challenge in the back. So this one's been running rich, but nothing wrong with that. So this is another known good cylinder. We'll see what the compression is. We thread this guy down in there. The thing that's disturbing about hole number 4 is it had oil on the spark plug. Sure looked like oil. So I'm going to turn this where I don't want to go too tight and not be able to get it out. 125. Same as the other one. Really, we're looking for consistency. Okay, put that hole back the way that it was. Well, this is turning into a great video, obviously, because I made it, right? We have cylinder 1, 125 PSI, impossible to film. Cylinder 2, 125 PSI, already been filmed. Cylinder 3, 123 PSI. Cylinder 4 is 0, so I'm actually retesting cylinder 4. It's not oil on the spark plug, it's gas. So I kind of look down in the cylinder, I don't see any gas, so my thought on this is we got a valve hanging up or something like that, or rather I don't see any oil all over inside of the cylinder. So my thought at this point is that we need to pull the valve cover, and it might need a head, might need a valve job. But anyway, cylinder 4 is 0. Cylinder 5, 110. So cylinder 5 might be experiencing the same problem that number 4 has already experienced. And cylinder 6 is 125, which tells me we don't have a broken camshaft. We don't have a broken timing chain or anything like that, because the 2 halves of the V are getting compression. So I'm thinking that we got more than likely a valve hung up on number 4 for what that's worth. No pun intended. I'm going to go do the compression test one more time. And well, as you can see, nothing. So my recommendation on this one, I'm going to just see what the customer wants to do and put the whole thing back together. No compression on cylinder 4. Recommendation is to pull the valve cover, which also means pulling the intake and a power steering reservoir and a couple other things on this engine, and a possible head replacement in an investigation. at that point. I don't think it's piston rings. I don't think it's a piston. I don't have a bore scope. It's on my shopping list for Christmas. So I can't look around inside the cylinder and get pictures of the valve stuck or anything like that. So that would be something really nice to have. That wouldn't be all that hard to do. That, you know, if you're working in a shop, you would want to be able to get some pictures, check the cylinder wall and things like that. Make sure we don't have any physical damage to the motor itself. Then you could feel super confident pulling the valve cover, pulling the head. You might, I don't know, depends on your bore scope, be able to go down the oil fill hole and actually see if that valve stem is losing contact with the rocker arm or anything like that, or rather with the camshaft. We do have some codes for brake booster and stuff on this engine too, which I'm going to attribute to low vacuum, and then the electric pump is probably running overtime to compensate for that, and it's not keeping up like it's supposed to. So I'm not going to worry about any StabiliTrak or traction control at this point. Obviously, this vehicle needs to have the valve cover pulled and investigated at that point. Pulling that valve cover is going to pretty much finish the story as far as what's going on with this motor. Well, there you got it, folks. That is pretty much a vehicle, or excuse me, pretty much a tutorial on how to compression test an engine and what it is that you're looking for. So you've already heard what my recommendation is. I'll call the customer, see what they want to do. Cylinder head on this for me, and even a valve cover, really having a full-time job with what I do now with constructing, is a little bit rich for my taste on this. The valve cover, maybe. Cylinder head, probably not. So I'm going to just advise that she probably has a shop that she trusts. Confirm my diagnosis, which should be pretty dang easy considering I'm going to give them my documentation, and then if they want to munch into the motor and see what's going on in there, that will be their thing. Why don't you guys munch on down to the comment box, leave me your questions, comments, criticisms, and concerns. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.